Howdy, 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 and welcome to a special episode of the Dirt Info podcast. As we warned you last week, Carter's on vacation, so I still wanted to talk with someone for at least a couple segments of the show. So I figured who better than the person who went to all the races with me this weekend, my wonderful significant other, Cherie. Hey, babe.
Hey,
So we're
hello.
gonna we're gonna handle the show more or less like I normally would. Sherry will be with us for just the first segment or two, and then I'll handle more of the newsy, nerdy stuff. Because, babe, I know you don't watch racing like I watch racing, so I'll handle that part on my own. But anyway, that means it's time for our first segment.
It's called Stylin and Profile.
Thanks, Rick. Sherry, how about you go first?
All right, so I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts. This is the Coffee Club, so it's like fueled by espresso and fast cars. It's one of my favorite shirts because I can wear it pretty much wherever. It doesn't have to be a dirt track shirt, and it's two of my favorite things. I ended up getting this at what? It was the first or second time we went to MTS this season
Yep,
at the Jake Tim trailer.
yep,
And yeah, I think it's one of the comfort colors that Emma brags about and tells us that they're awesome. And really, it is the comfiest t-shirt I have of a dirt track shirt for sure. But
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cute.
Yeah, I'm telling you, those bitch and fast shirts are just comfortable, period. It's not even for a
Yes,
race shirt, it's just like a comfy shirt, period. So, um,
right.
yeah. So, well, I picked up, you were there when I got this, so it's kind of not
Yeah.
like breaking news to you, but everyone else will probably hear it. Um, but I picked up a Smoke Joe Chisholm shirt, and I was pretty pumped about that for a couple different reasons. I got this one from the Victory Vault trailer, and it was 15 bucks. So,
Yeah, it was a
trying to
really good deal.
Yeah, trying to ball on a budget we are this year. Hit more things, maybe not go as wild every time that we go. So, uh, this was a good deal. I saw Victory Vault had posted it on Facebook the night before, and I missed it the night before, but I made sure to nail it at Granite City. So, uh, I was very happy to grab it. So, and he had a heck of a weekend too. So, that leads us into our next segment, which is what did we do? And we went to a lot of races, but we went to
A lot of races.
yeah. So the USMTS Mod Wars was in town, and that really was in town. Those are pretty much our three local tracks. So
Yep.
yeah, we went Friday to Princeton, Saturday to Ogilvie, and Sunday to Granite City. And that was it was super fun. But let's kind of take them in order. So Princeton was the first night, and I think they had said that was like the debut of USMTS there. So, um, but Princeton also is
I'd
kind of
never
in,
been there.
yeah, that's at least what they
Yep.
said over the speaker. I thought I remember differently, but who am I to argue? I'll trust the experts on it. But, um, but Princeton's kind of important to us because that was kind
Yeah,
of,
my very first time.
yeah, that was your first time being to a dirt track, and it really was sort of the weekend that started Dirt Info. We went there, and then
Yep.
we got a wild hair and went to Winneshiek in Iowa, and the rest is history from there. We've been on this crazy journey since. So, um, but yeah, Princeton this time around was a little bit different for us because we did it way differently than we normally do, didn't we?
Yes, we certainly did. This time we actually got some friends to come along. So we
Yeah.
got a couple newbies. Our friend Cherie, she's been to a track or two, but nothing, she never stayed for the whole entire thing. And just got a couple hours out of it or whatever. And this time she actually was able to show up and have a good time and was able to enjoy some of the food trucks with us and such. Um, we had our old neighbors come with us too, and also your buddy Joel, right?
Yeah, Joel met us there
And
too.
yeah, and he's definitely into racing like you are, a little less maybe, but he knows a thing or two, where the others were kind of newbies, and so it kind of left me to be host, and I'm typically the hostess with the mostest, so I loved it. It was fine. And I was able to answer all their questions and what does the flag man do and what does it do when, he's got the green one versus the red one and what does it mean you know, I don't know,
Yeah.
any and all of the questions I
Yeah.
was able to answer.
Yeah, I thought I actually was kind of getting into Charisse was asking like a lots of questions about the format and stuff, and she was trying to
Yes.
figure out like how do you win this and how do the rules work, and I
Yeah,
was
she
getting
was
a
getting into it.
yeah, I was definitely getting a kick out of that. I was like, "Oh, you're like me. Your analytical brain is going, and now this all makes like this just got way cooler in a hurry, didn't?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm definitely. I can see. I can. Yeah." So anyway, I thought she was kind of getting into it. I thought that was cool. She was really into it too, and the old neighbors uh they had fun too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but we normally when we got there it was actually kind of a little bit different too. Like we normally do everything together. And this time
Yep.
you because we had everyone coming, you kind of went to the grandstands to lock down seats
Yes.
and yeah, and
Yeah.
I went and ventured off to the pits, which was different for me. I'm usually used to, you know, you being there as sort of my moral support animal. But
Right. Yeah, it was pretty awesome to do all the things and get everyone settled, but then hear about your pit adventures afterwards too. It was kind
yeah,
of cool to hear that instead of just be there.
right. Yeah. Well, speaking of, I'll tell a little bit of it here. I know it'll be somewhat old news to you, but before I even got into the pits, I actually ran into Mark Anderson, who shout out to Mark. He helped out again with the thumbnail for this episode, and that is an awesome, awesome picture. He does great work. He's the track photographer at Princeton and Ogilvie, and he's been helping us out all season long with the podcast and pictures, and we're just so grateful for his support. Y'all should definitely check him out on Facebook, Mark Anderson Images, or you can look at his work online and actually purchase photos and stuff too from him, and it's markandersonimages.com. So he keeps it simple. You can find him by the same name pretty much everywhere, but I do recommend checking him out. I think I saw recently he was offering some season packages at the tracks he covers too. So if you race there and he still got spots, reach out to him. You know, that's always nice to just kind of have not have to worry about that and have some professional stuff done. It definitely helps. I can promise you it helps with the social media. So definitely worth reaching out to Mark. I highly recommend it. But so it was cool to run into him before I even made it into the pits. And then I headed into the pits and I did my normal walk and took my normal pictures, but I was feeling a little bold, I guess, and I saw that Gary Christian had his backup car out, and I just sort of in passing asked, "Who's going to be racing that tonight?" And the response was, "Hopefully, no one." So I appreciated that, but um, it was a nice opening to just kind of chat for a minute and introduce myself. And Gary's interacted with some of the stuff we do on Facebook. You know, Brad does those write ups and stuff, and so he's interacted, and he actually was like, "Oh yeah, I love the write ups you do." So I passed that along to Brad. Knows that Gary Christian is a fan of his writing ability, so that was cool. And then the other unintended consequence of not having you there is I was stickerless.
Yep.
So
And we even talked about it too. I was like, I need to give you the stickers. And you're like, yeah, don't let us forget. And then we did.
yeah, then we still
It
did.
just made for an extra trip for you.
Yeah, so I had ended it. I had told him about the podcast and I'd asked if he'd be interested in some stickers, and he said he would. And so I didn't have them, so I eventually made my way back to you, got the stickers, headed back to the pits. And Gary
Which are
was
forever
part.
away, apparently.
Yeah, and he was parked in the back corner. So like I trekked it. But anyway, so I delivered those and then since I had them on hand, I actually went and found Bobby Arness, who's a listener and one heck of a Wasota Hornet driver. So I got to chat with him for a good long while. That was really cool. That was actually really cool. That was one of my more highlights of the night was um, just kind of getting to hear about his season, some of the things he's working through, kind of just talking about life, kids, what we're all doing this for, and you know
Yeah.
the hard work it takes to kind of be at the level you want to be at. And even talking a little bit about the standards you set for yourself too. I think a lot of the people who are into dirt racing kind of fall under the umbrella of we kind of have a little we hold ourselves to a standard. I don't know. These racers definitely do, right? Like they have to
Right.
maintenance and I'm rambling. But anyway, it was just a cool conversation. It was a really cool
It was.
conversation. Yeah, and I
Yeah, it
enjoy it.
sounded like it was great.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it a lot. So anyway, so the pit walk was fun, and I got to come back and tell you all about it, and then we settled in and watched the racing. Also, should mention we picked up another person to our group too. So Racing Vagabond or Justin was at the track, and he caught us as we were getting this seat situation sorted, and he asked to join. And of course, the more the merrier, always and
Yeah,
forever.
why not?
Yep. So he joined too, so that was really fun. The only bummer of the whole night was that the rain was kind of being Mother Nature
Yep.
wasn't playing nice. We had a short rain intermission after heats and bees and everything. So leading into the feature, which is actually when Charisse did have to get going, and then Arthur came in or old neighbors came in under really
Yes. Yep.
so we felt
Yeah.
kind of like butt heads for a moment, but they did get three features in, and they were very, very, very
Yes.
good features.
They
Yep,
were good. I think
yeah.
it was worth the money to at least get those in. So
Yep. Yep. And I think Tommy Pagona said it, the natural rainwater just does something to a track. And whatever it is that it does, it put down some good racing. So that feature was I'm not gonna belabor it too much, but the feature was very good. The start, we're big Clayton Wagaman fans, and so he was
yeah.
he was running up front and giving Jim Chisholm all he could handle in the early part of the race. So we were kind of on the edge of our seats rooting for our hometown guy. And he eventually faded, and at the end, Reese Solander. I don't remember if it was one of the last couple of laps. It may have even been the last one, but he threw an absolute bomb of a slider, and if that would have stuck, that would have been pretty wild and pretty rad. But Jim drove around, but it was a good race all around, and for their debut, they really delivered. Princeton really put on a heck
They
of a
did.
show. The place was packed, right? Like that was the other
They
cool
had a really
thing.
good, yep, really good turnout, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. So I am hoping to see USMTS and maybe some other folks back there because that's the only. I said it on last episode, but to the viewers watching again, that's in our area around sort of the Twin Cities area. That's the only little quarter mile bull ring that we got around here, and it's nice to see that it's shaping up into something really cool. So I'm hoping cool stuff will come there
Yep.
as well. So. But then Saturday we were at the home track, and I think our comfortability made us bite off more than we could chew. Well, that's not fair. We nailed it, but it was hectic to say the least.
Oh, it was a lot, but honestly, we got through and we still had a great time.
Yeah, yeah. So we got there pretty much I don't know right around when pits opened or whatever, and we had to get sort of settled in and get some details worked out for some work that I had committed to do.
Yep.
But I wasn't the only one who honored it. So so we
Happy
got
to
that.
help.
Yep, we got that all squared away, and then we went and walked the pits together, which
Yeah.
thought it was fun because you got to see kind of like I told you all the stories, and then you got to kind of see
Yes.
some of those conversations continue and stuff. So, um, Saturday the Wasoto Late Model Challenge Series joined up with USMTS, so we had a bunch of late models in the pits too. Um,
Yep.
but so we walked around. I picked up a hat. I don't have it on, but you will see it in future episodes. But I picked up a hat from Travis Sauer. And after I bought it and nearly tripped in the trailer three times after being warned, don't trip. If you're going to come in here, don't trip. I did not. I'll have you know, I did not. But I'm sure I had him on edge. But anyway, so after we were leaving, uh, I had mentioned to Travis as well. Hey, I have a podcast and this Dirt Info. deal that I'm doing, and I got a couple of stickers. Would you be interested in maybe putting them on the car? And he said for sure. Although he did warn me that with him they're not going to last long, which I said is fine. That means you're doing it right. If you need more, just let me know. I got a whole stack of them. And
He
you
did
know,
say that.
you know, hindsight being what it was, I should have just left more with him at the time. In those, if I was a smarter man. But, but anyway, and then we ran into Devin and Chad Fouquet as well, and that was those guys are a trip.
They
Chad
are a
is
trip.
yeah, Chad gets me every time. I swear he spots me before I spot him most time, and he's always opening with a quip, and I love it. Just kind of that always busting each other's balls kind of thing. That's me and my buddies for sure. Like
Right.
you can't make it a minute without someone. But anyway, so it was cool, and then I actually was giving Devin crap, to be perfectly frank. He had just wrapped up his interview uh with Chris Steppen, and oh, I'm gonna screw it up, so I'm just gonna go through it. But anyway, so he had just finished up with the Wissota Late Model Challenge Series interview, and I was like, oh, they just had to talk to the mustache, and then so that was kind of my opener. And so we got to chat with them and talk about Devin's article on Dirt on Dirt, which was really cool. Devin had if you haven't caught it yet, Devin Fouquet had a write up about his Wissota rookie run that he's on, and so that was cool. So check it out on Dirt if you have a subscription. So we chatted with them, and then uh I did talk to Joe, and I've said a couple times, I think we're kind of good luck. Well, on Saturday I also got up the gumption to ask Joe a question, and it opened up a conversation, and I left him with some stickers as well, and then he proceeded to win that night. I'll be fair, I don't know that I saw him on the car. I don't know that they were on the car. Um, but I'm gonna count it.
Right?
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah. Uh, but anyway, speaking of that, listen of ours, Connor, sorry, Connor, Connor Budenseek, races RC
Okay.
cars, and he had actually put dirt info on the side of two of the cars he races, and he informed me this weekend that he picked up two dubs and two podiums. So I think that's awesome.
Woohoo.
Yeah. I, Carter and I usually say we're good luck, and I think that seems to keep ringing true. So I
I
don't
like
know
it. It's a
if
good
I.
vibe.
It is a good vibe. I was thinking about it today. I'm just kind of like the power of positivity. I think there's some
Right.
value to that, right? Like that's what we're trying to do here. Shine a light on the cool stuff. There's plenty of other people to, talk about other stuff. We try to focus as much as we can on just the cool stuff. So anyway, um,
Right.
so and then after all of that, we mistimed it, and it was a all hands on deck situation to get dirt jobs in working and running order. So you and I were tag teaming some roster updates and getting all the scoring updated and everything. Um, and we were doing it all with not the best connections. We were doing
Yeah.
the best we could between the laptop and the Chromebook, and we and a couple of phones, but we slapped her
Yep.
together.
Somehow we got it going. So
Yeah, didn't miss a beat, weren't late with a roster,
somehow.
didn't miss a lock. It was tight.
Yep.
So no one will be the wiser. But oh man. So that kept us in the kept us in the lobby a little longer than we had hoped. Oh yeah, by the way, we're doing that all in the lobby. So if you saw two crazy
Yeah.
people just like feverishly, if you were at Ogilvie, that was us. That's what we were
That
doing.
was us. Yeah. It was
So
hectic, but we made it.
yeah. But
And then we
then
got to
once
enjoy the races afterwards.
yeah, we made it to our seats by the time the USMTS heat started, and I counted that as a win. Um,
Yep. It was like dang near perfect.
yep. So we
Mhm.
got to watch those, and then we settled in for a good night of racing. The racing was pretty awesome.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think it might be crazy, but I think I like the USMTS feature a little bit over the Wasota late model feature, although they were both awesome. But
They were both really good.
yeah, it was fun watching Tyler Peterson on all those on there was probably more restarts than we'd rather, but on a lot at least they made it interesting. Him and Joe Chisholm playing the game every
They
single
did.
restart.
They
Yeah,
did. It
trying
was awesome.
yeah. In the interview afterwards, Joe was like, he almost had me one time,
Yeah.
and he'd also mentioned, I figured he was having to get crazy, and he was either going to burn it up or wad it up, and unfortunately, um, TPO did end up putting it into the fence. Not on a restart though. We were racing, and he was just ripping the lip, and that lip was
Yeah.
treacherous. It got more than just TPO eventually, um, but yeah, I think I was a little bit bummed early on in the race because Clayton had an absolute beat on Joe, and the line closed
Yep.
up a little quick, and that kind of wrecked his race. But it would have been interesting to see everyone give chase to Ogilvie's high side tickler, if you will. Clayton runs the top like nobody's business at Ogilvie,
Hey,
so
I suppose you could call him that. I
yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, at least there it doesn't have the same ring to it, and I hate stealing nicknames, but I'm not gonna have that one stick. But he does run that better than anybody
Anyways,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it would have been cool to see him ripping the lip and everyone else trying to figure out the rest of the track to get back around him. But it wasn't to be, and it was still a good race nonetheless. So hat tip to everybody. And then Rodney made it close at the end too. But the Wasota late model feature, uh, Josh Zimple was out front, he's a fan favorite around here. Me, you, and
Yeah.
Colton all have shirts. Um, and and I think I told the story before, but Colton for at least a year was like, I can't believe he doesn't have merch with that wrap. And so when it finally came along, and Carter
Yeah.
was the one who told us when it finally came along. Yeah, we jumped all over that. So anyway, it was cool to see him win. He led a lot of it, and then Cole Searing got by with only a couple to go. Um, and the race was very much if they were in clean air, Josh was the best guy on the track, and he drove away from everyone. As soon as they got to traffic, though, they could close pretty well. And Cole almost had him once before a caution, and then did end up getting by him. And then on a late restart with like three to go, Josh just pulled him and the entire field. And I think that was his first Wasota late model challenge series victory, if I heard right, if I remember
I
correctly.
think I heard something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do know for a fact he said it was the first time he'd won at Ogilvie since he was in a Hornet. So, um, that was
Hmm.
pretty neat.
That was really neat.
Yeah, that was a very good show. And again, I mean, I'll talk about it here in a little bit, but Ogilvie is just a first class facility. The everything
It's
about it,
my
the race,
favorite.
yeah. I mean, it's the home track for a reason, right? But I mean, just everything about it. It's got ample seating. The indoor facilities are great, clean. I remember someone came up from down south, and their remark was like, "This is the cleanest facility I've ever been to." And I mean, take it for what it's worth. It's just a very well maintained facility. Just everything
It
about
really
it.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're always, working, doing cool stuff. They did like the hot dog eating contest, which I
Oh,
thought was
yeah.
interesting at intermission. At least gives something to do. They were doing like trackside fan contest last week, I think, as well too. So they're really trying to bring the fan element into everything on top of all the cool stuff they do there. So I can never rant and rave enough about Ogilvy. I can't. It's awesome. So
Yes. And
um
we contributed quite a bit to the 50-50. The 50-50
oh
crew over there, there was one kid that just came after you about every 5 minutes, and you kept saying, "Come back a little later, I'll put more in."
well yeah,
And then
and he
he'd pass
was
by you one more time and be like, "Has it been enough time yet?"
yeah. Yeah. Yep, and then they did get
That
me
was
for
fun.
the $20 for the wingspan, but that's always a
Yeah,
value for me. That's a strong
it's a
suit of
huge
mine.
value. Yes.
So anyway, but so Sunday we did finally get to like settle in and kind of enjoy.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's what Granite really is, that kind of that track for me, I guess. Just the
Yeah.
vibe there is very much sort of a Sunday. we're here,
Yeah.
we're racing, we're having a good time, good food, good people. That was like
Yes.
my
I
vibe
was gonna
going
say
into
their
it.
food is really good.
Yeah, their green chili burrito is phenomenal, and I know there's another track in our area that has a very good one too, but I'm just saying that one's my favorite. And then they have now they have the Chicken Shack Chicken. I think that's a track up north. I think it's Bemidji. I think Bemidji Speedway has the Chicken Shack, but um, and so they have that there. That was awesome.
That was super good.
Yeah, so I don't know. We're a bit of foodies, so we like when a track has interesting, different things, not your standard fare. Um, and so those are all hits for us. And so it was fun. We got to walk the pits again. That was definitely a more mellow,
Yes.
yeah, more mellow.
And we had only been in those pits once before. So that was
Yeah,
kind of cool too. So it was like the second time for some things for me. So second time in the pits for Granite City, but then on Friday was the second time going to Princeton since like 3 years ago. So it was a cool weekend for sure.
yeah, it was fun. I really do love when they come into town. This is my favorite. It used to be all the days at Ogilvie, and I actually kind of like that they moved it around. I know the crew over at Granite City has been putting, well, it's James Trentino, we're not, but
Yeah.
like they've been put a ton of effort and work in there, and he's a big supporter of the USMTS amongst a ton of other racers. So it was cool to see him get it. Um, and I'll say once the show was over, it was a little bit of I was proud of them that the track was not cooperating to start. And it looked like it
Yes.
it could be a real S show. And they threw everything they had at it at intermission and whipped her into shape. And while not perfect, it was worlds better, and the racing was entertaining, very entertaining. Um, and yeah, I mean the racing was phenomenal. On top of being entertaining, it was just
Yeah.
flat out phenomenal. Um,
Yes.
the USMTS featured Tanner led every lap, and he was definitely the best car on the track. But from second on back, things were moving around and unsettled till the very last lap. So Joe Chisholm ended up coming home second, and then the coolest thing I saw was Joseph Thomas threw a slider on Zach Benson. Two of our hometown, they're not necessarily from here, but they've been racing these tracks this year. So we'll just call them hometown racers for this year. Um, and threw a slider on Zach for third, and Joseph had a heck of a night, and I think he set fast time, won his heat and everything.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see him get on the podium. Zach had, I think, a couple of good runs. I think he ran pretty good at Princeton the night before, and then he finished fourth here too. So that was all cool to see. Um, yeah, and it was nice to relax. And then on the way out, we got to
Hmm.
talk to Kyle. It's always nice to talk to
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
yeah.
I like his show. He's entertaining and um I don't know if he controls the music, but somebody plays really good music. I don't know. The whole
Yeah,
the whole time we're there, it's super good music.
you did say that. We got out of the car and started walking up, and you're like, I will say this place always has the best tunes, and they do have some
I
really
do.
good
Yeah.
tunes. And yeah, Kyle's fun to talk to afterwards. I will say I really enjoy the way he announces at Granite City. I'm a goofball, so like
No.
yeah, know your audience. But I would say I think Kyle would say he's a little bit of a goofball himself too, and it shows through. And I don't know, it goes back to something I said on a previous episode, but just that whole be genuine, be yourself, be who you are, and I dig that. I am who I am, and that's all that I am. I'm pretty sure that was Popeye who said that. So,
Sure
but
was.
lean into it, be who you are, and be genuine. And I think he does a great job. And I'm always cracking up and laughing. He's always got me giggling. So that counts for something. And so I just enjoy everything about Granite. If on it for I said it in race recap or something, but if you're a race fan, Sunday fun day, you can't beat it at Granite. You can't.
Yeah.
It's a good time. And normally it's like $10 to get in
Yeah, it's
on top
super
of all
cheap.
of
They have
this.
really good food.
Yeah.
Like as far as just like someone also too that like I pay attention to the racing. I know what's going on and all that, but I'm not gonna remember all of the little details that you do, or who pulled the slider on who or what have you. I'm not gonna always remember all those, but I do remember the entertainment all the time, and they really do know how to put on a show. And then, like I said, the food. The food
Yeah.
was really good. It always is.
Right on. So, and I'll end it with this saying that on top of all of that, the racing was great. The late model feature, Shane ended up winning. Kevin Eater led a good portion of it, and then Billy Franklin came from a little bit behind there. What there, I think there wasn't. I think there's 20 late models, so he could only go so far from back. But he worked his way up there, and those three dudes just put on an absolute show. Like the last 10 laps, it was all three of them had a shot at the win. All three of them
Just
led at
battling.
some
Yep.
point. Yep. Um, and like Shane took the bottom to the lead and then went to the top, and then Billy Franklin was like, "Thanks for showing the line," and
Yep.
he nearly catfished the catfisher, and so it was a really really good race. It was so. Tip of the cat to racers, the fans, everything. And to close out the swing on a Sunday, the stands were pretty well full. I mean, they can handle a lot there, so that is always one of those things where you got to keep your. I mean, they've got just a ginormous seating area,
They
but
actually do have a
yeah,
lot. Yeah.
yeah.
But it was
So
pretty packed.
yeah, yeah. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was a fun time. But anyway, babe, I think this is the part where I'm gonna do the nerd out stuff. So I'll let you get going.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
It was
joining.
good talking to you. Of course.
See, isn't she just the best? You guys can see why I'm always ranting and raving about her now. But let's jump into some results from this past week. Admittedly, I was racing, as we just talked about. So I caught this more in bits and pieces, but we have been following these guys, throughout the year. So best to keep the thread going. So Lucas was at Houston Speedway for the Silver Dollar Nationals. I believe we had 10,000, 10,000, and 75,000 to win. The Thursday night show was taken home by Ricky Thornton Jr. and Davenport took home Friday. And then the big show, Hudson O'Neill won. And as I gather, I guess it was rain shortened. So we got 67 out of 80 in. And I guess there was some concern about whether or not we should have waited longer, so on and so forth. It's always a tough call in those situations. I caught wind of some people saying it may or may not be who's leading that dictates how long they wait, and I don't know. That doesn't feel that doesn't feel right to me. It's sort of like a sour grapes thing. Every situation is different, no matter how much you want to kind of pretend they're the same. They are all different, and so you just trust that everyone's acting fairly and in the fairness of competition in a show. Um, and I mean, you just kind of take it for what it is. It seems like maybe it was the right call anyway. Shelton, I believe, was saying it was raining as the show closed, so take it for what it's worth. But in support, they had some regional series also running at the Silver Dollar Nationals, which I think is kind of cool. So the day before, on Wednesday, before the whole Lucas show kicked off, they had the Tri-State late models there, and Tad Pop I I knew I was gonna mess that up, and I'm sorry. Tad Pospischal took home 6,000. Um, and then they had a 2-day show for SLMR, and they did heats one day, and then the feature was on Friday. And so that was another 6,053 to win, and Dallin Murdy took that one home. So former stock IMCA stock car standout is really doing pretty well in the late models this year. So good to see him take home that win. Um, so as far as Lucas is concerned, they're off this weekend and next. So we've got Prairie Dirt Classic, which I'll touch on here in a little bit, coming up this weekend, and then we have the USA Nationals at Cedar Lake, which I'm excited about the weekend after. So Lucas is off for a couple weeks before they come back. So we'll catch up with them in a few weeks. And then I'll also touch on Tri-State and SLMR here in a minute as well. I mean, you guys know how we handle the show, right? Like what happened, then what's going on. So, and then we had touched on Mars getting back into the swing of things after the Hell Tour, and they were in the news for maybe all the wrong reasons. But as far as the results are concerned, Friday at Farmer City, Jason Fager took home the late model feature, and Trevor Neville took home the mod feature. And then Saturday at I-55 or Peevely, late models was taken home by Ryan Unziger, and modifieds was won by Ryan Hamilton. Um, so again, Mars is also off for the next 2 weeks for those crown jewel events. I believe that we've got a string of them coming up. It really is sort of like money season in the late model. So there's going to be a lot of cool things to talk about, and we'll be catching some of them along the way as well. So lots to look forward there. But also, I would be remiss if I'm going to talk about Mars. I at least have to mention the Bob Gardner thing. That was wild and a little ridiculous, or a lot bit ridiculous, probably. Um, Dude probably had a right to be pissed, but I don't know. There's a line, and I will just mention, Carter's not here, but in the Discord, he's kind of like, if he did this at the Dome, people would have loved it, and I saw that as an argument amongst some of the online chatter as a justification why it should be okay now, and I don't see that. It's, sort of a know your audience kind of thing, right? So maybe at the Dome, and we can argue whether or not it's acceptable there even. I mean, there's a line probably was crossed regardless of venue, but if you're saying the more gladiator element of the Dome would have been acceptable, so it's acceptable everywhere, that's just BS. If it's cool at the Dome, cool. That's a whole different event, and there's a whole different thing going on there. And it's small, and it's relatively, slower. I'll just be real. Like they're not going nearly as fast. And anyway, it's not as big, and it's more contained and all that. So anyway, it's a whole different thing. So even if it would have been cool there, it's not cool on a random racetrack, I don't think. So um I think it was kind of BS the whole thing around. And I saw that he got suspended indefinitely, but at least 6 months, and that seems fair. I'm glad he went out and took some ownership of it, and just being real. Bob Gardner's social media had just started getting up on my feed, and he was putting some good stuff out there. So it sucks to see this happen, because I don't know. This podcast is in the content space, right? And so, like, you want to see more of that. I think the whole ecosystem is better if we have more of that. And so, but I don't know, acting a fool, it just kind of turns me off. I'll just be real. So anyway, we'll leave her there. Um, and then also, speaking of late models, we had a big show. We had mentioned the Mater Memorial was at Cedar Lake, and they had $10,555 up top, and Jesse Glenn's took that home. I didn't catch much of it, but I did hear in the stands on Sunday some chatter, and it sounds like he was quick time, and I think started on the pole or near the pole, and I think maybe led every lap and took the thing home. So it sounds like he had a good weekend and took home a big chunk of change. So and I mentioned it a couple times here, but Cedar Lake, that was a nice little appetizer for the USA Nationals here in a couple weekends, which I'm excited to talk about that more. I keep mentioning it, but it's just on the horizon, and a lot of these things we're talking about are going to come to fruition there. So and then I do also want to just quickly mention the Dodge County Fair race was on Wednesday, and that was for $3,025. They had a pretty solid turnout of a very stout field of cars, and Alex Williamson took home the dub there. So that was good to see. You know, we're fans, so good to see Alex pick up a win. And then just catching up on some stock car stuff that we had mentioned along the way the last few weeks. King of the Creek was last Tuesday. I tuned in. I heard it was a good race between Mike Mullen and Benji Lacrosse at some points for quite a while, uh, but I only heard about it. So, and I was watching, but I only heard about it. So, but Mike Mullen, I believe, led every lap, took home 10,000. Benji ended up coming home second, and then Trent Nolan drove a really solid race, and came home third. And then a while back, we had talked about the Joey Hergott Memorial, and so they did 2 stages of 22 laps, and RTJ picked up the dub there. He had also won the Tanner Pelter Memorial the day before, so he was on a bit of a hot streak there in the stock car. And then Brayton Carter picked up the win of the second stage. So We had mentioned his brother last episode with when Carter picked up a Caden Carter shirt. So good to see him win as well. And then RTJ finished second there. So we had mentioned there may have been some bonuses. If he had finished first, he may have picked up that big check, but I still don't know for sure. Um, but then staying on the oh, nope. We'll touch on that in a minute. My notes were in the wrong spot. That's what I get. Um, but anyway, so that's all the results we wanted to touch on. Uh, I keep saying weeks. I'm used to Carter being here. But anyway, that's all the results I wanted to touch on, which means we'll go ahead and switch around and start talking about what I am doing this weekend. And I'm actually super excited. I'm going back to the home track. I'm going back to Ogilvie. Another mod show. I do love me some mods. So we've got the big deal going down at Ogilvie. We've got 100 modifieds and 100 B mods registered, and I'm excited to see what the turnout looks like. I'm fingers crossing for all 200, man, and if they get all 200, that's gonna be wild. Um, so the setup is we've got $125,000 up top for the modifieds and 25,000 up top for the B mods. Both are going to run 60 lap features, and then we're doing. It was originally supposed to be a 1 day show. I was excited about it. I get the fear of not wanting to race into daylight the following day, so splitting up into two makes some level of sense, even though it's a bit of a bummer. But so we've got a 2 day format, and Friday we're doing qualifying and heats, and then on Saturday we're gonna have the soup and the B mains and non-qualifying features and then the big features. So still a ton of racing on Saturday. So I get it. And having those non-qualifier races is to me very worthy cause of breaking it up into two shows. I think the non-qualifiers getting an opportunity to run for some chunk of change on these huge shows and getting some support back for supporting you is the right call there. So adjustments as they may need to be made if that's why I dig it. So anyway, I'll be there Saturday. I can't make it Friday. Youngest kiddo's got he's got state tournament, so I won't be able to make it Friday. And I'm gonna be hauling to make it on Saturday too. But I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, so we've got after we run our heats, we've got sorry. I'm talking and I'm all by myself. It's hard to fill this much airtime. I should probably means I should speed up, so I will. But anyway, we've got top 14 lock in after heats, and then we got the soup on Saturday. And then I do like the addition of the heat draw, or the heat draft. So after everyone qualifies and lays down qualifying laps, you get to actually draft your starting spot. And so we've got passing points are in play here. So heat finish positions, qualifying points, and then passing points in your heats will get your top 14 locked in. I'm excited for the field. Honestly, the B mod portion of this has me super intrigued because they're letting IMCA mods run with them. So I've heard and seen on the list that Benji Lacrosse is going to be there. I think we've got Cody Thompson coming. Aaron Johnson is an IMCA stud up in northern Minnesota who's going to be there running with the B mods. And then I think I saw Ethan Broxma was on the list, but I'm not entirely sure if he'll be making it. And then I also saw Chaz Baca was on the mod list, but there may be some flexibility in what they want to run. I did not see him on the B mod list, but he's a standout in IMCA car. He may just come run for the 25 as well. Um, so that's gonna be cool. Ashley's gonna be there, so I will have technically a horse in the race a little bit. So I'm excited to see her. She looks like she's locked in and focused and ready to go. So the the competition is going to be fierce. It's going to be really cool to see what the B mods do, and then the mods, man. Woo I can't freaking wait. We've got a pretty loaded list. All the Wasota standouts are going to be there. That's partly why I'm so excited about this. This is right in our backyard. So a lot of guys I watch weekly, follow weekly, see when I go to a local track, they're all getting an opportunity to run for this big money. I'm digging it. They make up a big chunk of the field. We've got PDC, which I'll touch on a little bit more here, but we've got the PDC. They've got 58 UMP mods there. There is some double entries I was digging into. We've got Cole Falloway and Kurt Spalding on both lists as well. So there's just it'll be interesting to see exactly who all shows up and who goes where. But I think even if with these big shows, there's always people who register and don't make it. But when limiting to 100 and having so many local guys on the list, and the USRA guys aren't too far away, they're all just I shouldn't say all, but a good chunk of them are down in just southern Minnesota, Iowa area. So they're close to. They should hopefully be here and support. So I'm really looking forward to it. All the USMTS guys will be there. I think I was digging if UMP guys come, we saw last time that they kind of according to Troutman had an advantage, although different track, different circumstances, but who knows, man? It'll be cool. It's 60 lap features, so I don't even know that we're gonna get a break. We might just because I don't know how far Wasota cars can go, but all of it's going to be neat and it's going to be some banger racing. This past week showed Ogilvie can race like crazy and and man, we're going to have the best of the best doing it. So you got to see it. You do. If you can make it, make it. If you can't, find out where to watch it, but for sure get get your eyeballs on this and please come. I'm so excited for my home track. Anyway, so moving on, TDC, as I mentioned, they have a whole bunch of UMP mods down there, and they've got the best of the best there too. So McKinney's on the list, Long, Ledford, just the who's who. I could keep going. Neville, there's just everybody. You don't it. You know them. You know the names. It's going to be a heck of a show for that. And then the late models always show out. Mars is off, so all of those guys will be there. We saw a ton of guys running the the Hell Tour from down south, so we may even see additional car count from down from that way come and support. So it's just going to be a big show, and I hear it's a party, and it is a bucket list event for me for sure. Um, but before they get kicked off at PDC, I believe the Wednesday prior, they have Flow Night in America, one for the road, which I think a lot of thinks, but my research is light, but I'm pretty sure that means they close out for a bit till they come back in the fall. So we're gonna be without them for a while. So nice little preview on Wednesday. That's on Flow, and then obviously the Outlaws are on Dirt Vision. We've got 5,000 on Friday and then the big 50,000 show on Saturday. And then they have $500 a lap money. So 100 grand is up for grabs, but 50 to the winner and then lap money. I always dig how they go to the bank afterwards. That's kind of boss move, right? Like you just want a big paycheck and you don't just get a check, you go to the bank and take pictures. I dig that. So that'll be good to see. And then after PDC there, World of Outlaws goes to Wilmot, and that means Carter's not gonna be with us when we normally record. So next week's gonna be a bit of a jumble too. So Carter will be there, and that's awesome for him. And quite frankly, we're at a stretch right now where there's just a lot of local racing and a lot of opportunities for Carter to go do some cool stuff. So if we have to move stuff around, we will. I dig that he's getting some other opportunities and getting to do what he's doing. So um, we may change up days, we may change up guests. It may be me one more time for a short episode. Who knows? But um, we'll we'll be here. We'll just be here maybe in a little modified fashion for a week or two till we get back into the real swing of things. But no sweat. We'll stick around. Um, Anyway, in addition to PDC this weekend, we also have the Northern Lights are at Hamilton County for probably 2 grand. I haven't seen the payout yet, but they usually run for 2 grand. So I think this show is interesting just because if you don't qualify good and have a good heat race on Friday, you might have a place to go on Saturday. I get it's a bit of a hike. I've driven it before, but yeah, um, the weather for the big deal is gonna be as of right now looks like it's gonna be absolutely gorgeous. So might want to just stick around and race anyway. But there will be options, and so it'll be cool. It'll be interesting to see what the Northern Lights field looks like at Hamilton County. The last time I saw a race on Racing Dirt there, they put down a heck of a good race. So I know guys like it. So we'll see what happens. And then in the stock car world, so looking a little bit forward to have past the weekend next, I believe it's next Tuesday. my research is light, but it's next Tuesday, I know for a fact. Um, we've got the street stock Little Dream at Rice Lake Speedway. This is a cool show. So the purse starts at something low, like $1,000. I don't even know. But then fans can choose what position they want to donate and how much they want to donate to that position. And then that is, the purse keeps increasing with each donations. Naturally, people tend to donate to the top. So I think last year they had 30 grand by the end of it, by the time they crowned a little a little dream winner. And there was even a little controversy. The man who took the checkered flag, Nick Trainer, ended up getting DQ'd and Cody Cummer won. And so there's a lot of drama with this thing. There's a lot of fan engagement with this whole deal. It is really a cool show. Um, and I'm proud that Carter is going to be there. He's going to be there. He's going to be working this one. He's going to be streaming it. So I love that for him. I'm so freaking excited that he gets cool opportunities like this. So this is a big show. This is a big show in sort of Wissota land in my area. And so I'm super pumped for Carter for sure. So uh uh, we want to get his perspective on that, and we will as soon as we're able. So looking forward to it. But anyway, that's all the stuff that's going on this weekend that I'll be kind of following along with in addition to the big deal. So that means, as always, and I don't even have anyone to point to, but anyway, so I'll do it anyway. As always, Carter or Josh in this instance, it's time for one for the road. So Carter's not here, but he checked in. So I'll start with him and then I'll give you mine on the way out. So last week, Carter had mentioned the big show at Grays Harbor, the modified nationals for $7,500. They ended up getting 46 entries, and Bryson James, who's someone we've seen at the Wild West Shootout a bunch, ended up taking home the victory. So congrats to Bryson on that. That's pretty cool. And then for this week, sorry, that'll be the last one, I hope. For this week, Carter passed along and wanted to mention the Hunting with Heroes Salute to Veterans tour, I guess, or mini tour that they've got going on. So we've got 3 races this weekend. We start out at Clay County Fair, and then we go to Algona or Kossuth County, and then we close it out at Boone. But starting out at Clay County, we've got 2K for mods and stock cars and 1K for sport mods and hobby stocks. And then at Algona, we kind of get a bigger payout here. We got 3,500 for mods and stocks, 1,500 for sport mods, and 1,000 for hobby stocks. And then Boone closes out the 3-day stretch with 3,000 for mods, 2,000 for stocks, 1,000 for sport mods and hobbies. So each night we've also got 1,000 to win race of champions. I'm not sure what class or how that's going to look, but that's kind of cool that they've got an purse race included. And then I also thought it was worth mentioning. So veterans, active duty service members, and widows of veterans receive free admission, a meal, drink, a gift card, and a goodie bag at each track. And then throughout the 3 days, I think they're giving out something close to 10,000 in tools, prizes, gifts, and other things to veterans at each one of these events throughout the weekend. And I think it's going to total somewhere around 10,000. So I think it's just really cool. This sounds awesome, right? Supporting veterans, great paying and exciting races at some really cool racetracks. This is neat, and I'm definitely looking forward to see kind of how this all plays out. I'll follow it more closely than I would have in other years. I think I know this race a little bit myself just because they do some stuff with rap competitions, and there's some cool raps that come out of this. So definitely worth keeping your eye on throughout social media, and then it'll be on IMCA TV. So if you want to watch it, check it out there. So I'll definitely check in with this one next week as well. So with that, it's me to close the show, but I've been more or less half the freaking show. So whatever, here we go. Last week I had mentioned the Joe Duvall Funkadelic Dirt Track and Honky Tonk Extravaganza. That was a joint promotion between Heartland Modified Tour and the American Racer Modified Series. They had a pretty solid car count right before, excuse me, right before they were getting ready to race on the weekend. Joe Duvall announced that they actually had an addition of a 10K sweep the weekend bonus. So there was actually 10K up if any driver could sweep the weekend. Unfortunately, well, no, unfortunately, that would have been neat to see someone win that. So unfortunately, no one was able to pick that up. But nonetheless, Friday at Arrowhead Speedway, we had Mark Smith take home the victory. And then on Saturday at Salina High Banks, we had Tyler Wolf taking home the victory. I had mentioned the fan of the weekend belt buckle that was up for grabs, and I did as much research as I could before recording, and I haven't seen anything on it yet, but if I come across it, you'll know. That's for sure. So pretty cool event. Looked like they had a solid car count. It looked heck of fun. So um something to think about down the line, or if you're in that area, man. Joe Duvall apparently knows how to party. So I think USMTS is back there not this weekend, but next for a Creek County event. So if you're looking for a party, then I think you might have one. So, but anyway, this week, I think it was this past weekend. Anyway, when I saw it, it was on Monday, but nonetheless, on Monday, I picked up that Coles County announced that Road to the Dome Joe. It's an invite only event for late models and modifieds, and it's going to go down Sunday, September 28th. So I don't know. This sounds this sounds like a great idea. I don't know any other way to put it. I picked up Coles County when Carter worked a race down there earlier this year, I think for the Badger Midgets. It's like a small micro track. I did see some comparison to Macon, so take of that what you will. But it's a little tiny track, obviously Road to the Dome theme here, so we're going on something small. Looks like there's some doubters, but I love the attitude of grab you a ticket and see see if you're right that they've shown. I like that put your money where your mouth is attitude. So I like the concept. I like the idea. I do like building off the dome. The dome is really one of dirt racing's premier events. There's just no way around that. It captures the eyeballs of so many. So, I guess capitalizing on that or doing something to build the momentum towards that is always a good idea for me. Um, I don't know if there's any micro tracks down south, but maybe maybe we get something late November. Who knows? Um, anyway, I, I just like it. I like it. I like the trying something different. It's outside the box, and I really like, everyone's saying it's so small, and they're just like, "Oh, nah, we can do it." So take whatever a perceived disadvantage was and turn it into advantage, and promote a bigger show, and it's all good. And from the flyer and what I could gather, it looks like we've already got some commitments from RTJ, Fergie, Turbo, and Michael Long on the modified side. So invite wise, field wise, we're starting out pretty good. So there's a lot more details to come. We're really at the very general stage, but this is ballsy, and I've said many times on this thing, like I like risk takers and I like ballsy moves, and this is one of those. So I dig it, and I'll be keeping an eye on it. Um, and with that, that's everything I've got to talk about. And this is probably longer than I ever anticipated it being. So I apologize for that. Or you're welcome. I don't know. It could be either or. Nonetheless, if you're still here, please hit a like. It means so much to us. Like, we really do appreciate it. It helps us grow. It helps us get to other people. But just genuinely to us, it's nice to know we're doing something that people enjoy. So, any way you can kind of reflect that back to us keeps us motivated and keeps us going, and we really appreciate it. So, anyway, we'll catch you next week, and I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me today.